The Flagstone, Torrey, McMullen. You guys have any NBA titles? Do you have any Oscars? Have you ever seen a movie or touched a basketball?
Yes.
I've done that. Yes.
How Kobe is an Oscar winner this year. How Shaq Griffin is a first-day draft pick any year. And how much better golf would be if it were called like football. Let's go around the horn. And you guys ever do that?
Okay, that guy's yelling.
It's Around the Horn, the show of competitive banter. Here's Tony Reali.
Griffin 20 bench presses with a hand prosthetic, the fastest 40 time for a linebacker since they started tracking a decade ago. 4.38. Saquon Barkley, faster than Devin Hester and Deshaun Jackson, more jump than Julio Jones, more lift than Joe Thomas. Mike Freeman quoted an NFL assistant coach. I would punch myself in the deleted mute button many times to be able to draft him. Tim Collins Show, you're going to start us off. I will not ask you if you'll do the same. Did Barkley prove this weekend he's the number one pick? Can a running back even be number one pick anymore in today's NFL? And should the Browns take Barkley at number one? Go.
Yes. All three of those things. They should do all of those things. He is. First of all, I don't care if you're a guard. I don't care if you're a safety. Any unconventional position. If you've established and you made scouts believe you're going to be great, you're going to be multiple All-Pros, you can be drafted first overall. Think how many busts there are in the top 10. But as a running back, I think he has a lot of value to a bad team. They have millions to spend salary cap-wise to beef up that offensive line. They can develop a running game that keeps the other defense that keeps their defense on the bench. It keeps the other quarterback on the bench. You saw what Zeke Elliott did 2 years ago for the Cowboys. This guy's faster than Zeke. He's stronger than Zeke. If he's better than Zeke, then he can be a great player. You take
Watch me saying that. You're still in Dallas right now. Don't be talking about guys being better than Zeke.
I'm just saying if. There was an if in there. There was a qualifier. And at 4, you can still get one of the quarterbacks.
Unanimous from Kalishaw. This is an easy decision for him. Is it for you, Jackie?
I don't know. If I'm the Cleveland Browns and a running back hasn't gone number one in 23 years, am I really the team that's about to do that after the kind of track record I've had? And you're right, Tim, Ezekiel Elliott, Leonard Fournette, those are good reasons to say, yeah, maybe I should go high with the running backs. But then I look at Kareem Hunt. You could get him in the 3rd round. The problem with running backs, we know it, guys, short lifespan and not as valuable in today's NFL as they have been in the past. And you can find him in the later rounds. If I'm the Cleveland Browns, I'm trading that pick, Tony, because I get the first pick and the number 4 pick. I can get a quarterback with one of those two, and maybe I get some extra players because I need help everywhere.
Pablo Torre?
Browns do have a lot of experience just punching themselves in the groin, so it would be nice to get Saquon Barkley out of it this time. It would be nice. And I am going to lean in Tim's direction on this, because it is true that if Saquon Barkley and a quarterback who was the talent equivalent of Saquon Barkley were both available, I would take the quarterback. But the question here really is Saquon Barkley the special generational talent? And all signs are pointing to yes. And Jackie, your point about Kareem Hunt is well taken. Your point implied also about Alvin Kamara, another 3rd rounder, is well taken. But the fact remains, if you were to redo that draft, those guys would probably both be top 10 picks. And the question for the Browns is, do you want to let that caliber of player slip through your fingers, even if you're the Browns? I'm guessing they want to take the bird in the hand who happens to be maybe the best running back of his generation.
And Kevin Blackistone.
No, and no. And here's the problem, all right? The value of the running back has been slipping for about 20 years. In 2015, it was valued at about 7th. After 2017, it was down to 10th. This is not a reflection on the running backs themselves or a reflection on Barkley. It is a reflection on the way the league plays football nowadays. You pass on first downs. You pass on second downs. This is a passing league. It is no longer a running league. And as Jackie reminded us, when you look at the career spans by position, the running back, not surprisingly, because it gets beat up so much, has one of the shortest spans in all of the game. So those are the reasons that I would not, especially if I'm the Browns, who are in dire need again of a quarterback in a draft that has 5 or 6 of them that are going to the 1st round. You got to take the quarterback.
Kalishaw back in.
I would just remind Mr. Blackistone that while those arguments are there, and the 2 Super Bowl teams had a variety of underpaid running backs, New England almost didn't get there because of a team that has Blake Bortles at quarterback, but Leonard Fournette at running back. There is a second way to do this.
Jackie Mack.
Well, the problem is, though, the second way to do it, the running backs have an average of lifespan, depending on which analytics site you choose, of either 3.3 years or 2.57 years. That is so very short. Yeah. And all I can think back to on is Sean Alexander. Amazing 1 year and then gone the next. And I hope that doesn't happen with Fournette or some of these other great running backs, but it could. We've seen it happen over and over again.
What do you think the span career-wise for a Cleveland Browns quarterback is? It can't be even those 2.5 years.
It's about as fast as
Barkley
can run the 40.
It's very interesting, Jackie. You make the argument for drafting a quarterback where we know the success the Patriots had getting a quarterback in the 6th round.
There you go.
Yeah. We're going to move on. Shaq Griffin, the other star of this combine weekend. He was projected to go in the 5th or 6th round going into this combine. After seeing what he did, Kevin Blackistone, are you going to take him on the first day?
I don't know if I'll take him on the first day, but the sad thing is that the only reason we're having this conversation is because of the situation that he has physically. But the impressive thing about this is, or the interesting thing is that he has dealt with this his entire life, and he has made the incredible adjustments. And if you've read the story about him, his biography, I mean, it's absolutely heart-wrenching what he went through with the disease that he had, which resulted in the amputation of his hand. So I think that if you look at the way he's performed as a collegiate football player, the way he stood out in that Peach Bowl, this is a guy who you want to draft high.
Pablo Torre?
The combine tends to be a lot of sham fortune-telling for a lot of guys. But in this case, it is so useful because the draft and the combine do a couple things well. They standardize variables. They're all taking the same test. Shaq Griffin has proven himself to do that. They test how prepared you are. Shaq Griffin is wildly prepared. And now the third benefit for him that's so key is that a general manager who wants to take him on the first day, where I think he should probably be taken, now has cover. He has measurables. It's not him divining some reason as to why this kid is good. He points to the numbers and says, this is why if he had two hands, this would not be a conversation. So why is it if his performance is not at all impacted because he has one?
Jackie McMullen?
I hope that you're right, Pablo. I hope he goes on the first day. I do know this. Someone is going to draft him pretty high. I think it's going to be the second day, and I can see this kid as being just a terror on special teams and then a great third down guy that you bring in to rush the quarterback. We've seen from all the footage how successful he can be in those situations. And then maybe you figure out down the line what else you can do with him because well, he's only
second
16.
team All-American, defensive MVP of the Peach Bowl,
now,
and
Tony,
these numbers off the charts.
Tony, don't be silly. We can talk about all the All-Americans that don't make it in any sports from college to pro. We don't even have time to do that, dear, on this particular show. I'm not Mel Kiper. I would never be able to be Mel Kiper. I could never keep my hair that perfect or be that smart. But I will guarantee that someone like Pete Carroll, who is so pumped and jacked, is going to grab this guy, especially because his brother is already on the Seahawks.
Of course, Tim Kalishaw.
Yeah, I think first day is a lot to ask. That's just 32 players, and this is a 6-foot linebacker. So he's a little undersized despite all the great things he showed. And it was amazing. This guy's as fast in the 40 as Patrick Peterson was coming out of LSU. That's incredible. That means he can play. He can, as Jackie said, he can play special teams. And you can figure out how to work him in at linebacker. I mean, KB mentioned the Peach Bowl, 12 tackles against Auburn. He did it at the college level. He will do something at the pro level, but I think he'll be a second or third round pick.
Okay. All right. We're going to move on now. Tell quarterbacks of the combine. Josh Allen. Did you see this? He threw it, and it still didn't come down yet. This is at 66 yards, I think it was. And some people think he could throw 90. Lamar Jackson and Sam Darnold got measured. They're pretty close to the same size. Baker Mayfield, Josh Rosen got great reviews as well for their weekend. Pablo, how should teams be viewing it all? What's your takeaway from the quarterbacks?
I cannot stop thinking about Josh Rosen and how the fact is his number one knock against him is character concerns. And when you examine what they are, they sound like a bad report card from a totalitarian teacher at a boarding school. Like, he is too smart.
Sounds like you're speaking from experience here.
I'm just saying, there's a real market efficiency if him being bright and curious about the world is a knock against him. That's the main knock against him. Go get that kid, because that seems like a great value.
Okay, but you've been near NFL draft rooms before. They're not worried about how curious your mind is. They're worried about how you throw the football. And Jackie Mack, you saw 3 of these guys throw the football this week, or maybe it's 4, but we didn't see one of them throw the football, and Darnold. What is your takeaway from the quarterbacks?
Yeah, so I'm always a little suspicious of making too much of the draft combine when it comes to the quarterbacks, because so many of them protecting their interests. You wonder how much side talk is going on with the other teams and in the draft order and all that sort of thing. So I looked at it. I mean, Donald didn't throw. He's going to have his own pro day. I think you're going to have a chance to see him up close and a little more personal in an environment that favors him. So I'm not going to hold that against him on a day like this. I think there are plenty of people out there that want to draft him.
Tim Cowshaw.
I think Darnold probably should have thrown. I think there's a lot of teams that kind of started to fall in love with some of these guys who did. I thought Lamar Jackson made a mistake. You shouldn't highlight your inefficiency. He should have run and blown everybody away in those kind of drills and remind all the scouts, hey, this guy's off the charts here. We can live with the occasional wobbly, slant pattern. But I think the guy who helped himself was Baker Mayfield, because he had to prove that he can play with these other guys. We know he did it. He was better at the college level, and everybody was impressed with his throws this week.
Kevin Blackstone.
If you're a team in need of a quarterback in this draft, you should be ecstatic, because it's going to be pretty hard to miss. Or if you do miss, you can say it's not our fault. Everybody said these guys are going to be great. I'm just telling it like it is. And the guy who stepped up seemed to be Baker Mayfield, as Tim pointed out. I would disagree on Lamar Jackson, because the only thing about not running is he can't really replicate what he can do on a football field as a quarterback, getting scrambling and making plays just by running at the combine. We'll
put bookmark in this discussion for now. I don't think Blackstone's idea that no one's going to be upset with the quarterback they draft is going to hold true by the time we start the season. But we'll get to that later. Kobe is next on the conversation docket in Buy or Sell. Stick around.
Around the Horn is brought to you by the Lexus Command Performance Sales Event.
Hello, I'd like to deposit this to checking.
Fate is a fickle master.
What?
The future is uncertain.
Okay, and what's my account balance?
The horizon is cloudy. I see a long, treacherous voyage filled with great peril.
Look, can I just get a deposit slip or something?
A fortune bank teller. Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
I see a yellow-eyed serpent and a low APR.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Buy or sell.
Let's talk Kobe's Oscar.
Well, I don't know if it's possible. I mean, as basketball players, we're really supposed to shut up and dribble, but I'm glad we do a little bit more than that.
The Kobe versus Jordan talk, the Me Too elephant in Hollywood's room talk, you can address it all. Kobe said after, winning an Oscar is better than winning an NBA championship. I guess I want to start with this. What was your reaction to seeing Kobe accept an Oscar, Jackie Mack?
Well, it was a little uncomfortable, I think, a little awkward because of the Me Too backdrop, which was supposed to be the central theme of the entire evening. Yet Kobe won an Oscar, going back to that sexual assault charge that he had in 2003. Something that I think Hollywood isn't really tuned into. All of us who had to cover it, we know it's always a permanent part of Kobe's very complex legacy, which even Kobe himself has acknowledged. And then there's Gary Oldham winning also that evening. So I think for the Me Too movement, I'm sure it was almost a little like, well, did anybody hear what we were talking about here?
Pablo Torre?
Yeah, there is an element of this being a lot easier to preach about than it is to practice in terms of holding certain people accountable. But there are a couple of reasons why Kobe Bryant hasn't been banished from society, one of which is the fact that we reckoned with this at the time. He lost sponsorships, was deemed a villain. This was not hidden from plain sight. The second thing, of course, is that Kobe Bryant has evolved as a person. All fair. But the third reason, and the most crucial one, is take this data point for what it is. It's telling us that maybe we don't actually care about this stuff, even in the liberal enclave of Hollywood, as much as we all like to pretend that we do. That might be a lesson to learn, too.
Kevin Blackstone.
Well, I know I was disturbed to read the reports afterwards that in the press room following those awards, the press was instructed to ask questions only about the awards that were won and not about the context or the character of the award winners, which is unfortunate because those of us in the media are there to ask